And welcome everybody to the Between Two Wheels podcast. Today we're going to talk about Stage 5. It was boring and ended as expected in a bunch sprint. But once again, who is going to win that stage? We'll talk about that. And the 2023 Vuelta was highlighted with an escape and a win by Sepp Kuss on Stage 6. It turned the entire race around and eventually Sepp was the overall winner. Roglic seemed to regret this move by Sepp and tried all race to defeat his own teammate. Did his dissatisfaction over Sepp taking the win lead to Roglic leaving for Bora this year? With this in mind, would Roglic ever make the same mistake, allowing a big threat up the road? Well, it appears so. It's stages 5 and 6 of the 79th edition of the Vuelta Ciclista a España. This is the Between Two Wheels podcast, episode 367, coming at you right now.
Right now, Primož Roglic decides to come up and start setting the pace here. I think he's thinking, well, if Vingegaard can have a go, so can I. At 2.8 kilometers to go, Roglic has actually changed the tempo here. This is great strategy. Talk about strength in numbers and what delivery. Oh, Sepp Kuss is off the back. It's a wheel length. They're going to have to be told to wait up for him if that is the plan. He's on the blower saying, guys, would you mind? They don't even look back. So finally, Vingegaard does look back, takes a glance, but they're not waiting. They've gone.
He saw that Sepp was there at first. Second time he looked, there were 4 or 5 lengths. He just turned back to the front and stuck on the wheel of Primož Roglic. Sepp Kuss fighting for his life in red. Primož Roglic just keeps pushing out the tempo. Landa comes back to the wheel of Sepp Kuss, who is flailing. And Sepp Kuss, he's seeing it slip away. 21 seconds. The gap to Roglic and Vingegaard.
Kuss here. The gap's actually come down. Landa's closing it on behalf of Kuss. This is amazing. They are coming back into it. It's Landa that's wrestling for this one. Into the hoarded sections. There's the Flamme Rouge finally. So Landa still sticks it to the mountain here. Sepp Kuss is actually rolling here, trying to hold on to Landa, who's on spectacular form at the moment. Gets the roar from the crowd, and it's about 3/4 of bike length, but it comes back into that gap. This is the finale for them. They zigzag through here. The road snakes, and they've bitten everybody. Wow, this is great. Now watch the clock as it starts to count. 3, 4, 5, and here comes Sepp Kuss. He's now got to sprint home to hold on to this jersey. Maybe he knows him. We all know about Sepp Kuss. Oh, I think he might well have just held on to it with those bonus seconds. That is absolutely remarkable.
And here we are, everybody, Between Two Wheels podcast, episode 367. We're going to take a few things right in. Stage 5. There was the profile. It was going to be a sprint from the start. You knew that. It didn't disappoint us. I'm not going to break it down too much because for me it was actually somewhat boring in a sense, right? So I just not going to go over that too much. But it was. We'll walk through the stage itself. Here we go. Let's take a look here. Let's give it a little bit more action to this. Hope everybody is doing good today because we had a good stage, and that is stage 6. But we're going to walk our way through. There was nothing really to talk about. There was a stage. It was going downhill. Primož Roglic all in his nice red jersey. Teams at the front crash here with Owen Duel, and he took out his own teammate Rui Costa, who just went right over. You can see that here. Right over we got to do this. Right over the top, bam. And then I think it was Rui just sat up and said, I'm done. So that's what it was. But we come down into the finish. You got Bora doing on the front, making sure their guys in the good positions here. I think it was Attila Valter was trying to, or Affini, I'm trying to remember which one it was, trying to lead out Wout. But Wout gets in behind the train of Alpecin de Koenig. And Alpecin is doing quite a nice job for Caden Groves. Wout jumps hard on the left, makes Caden Groves go around his own teammate. Meanwhile, Patrick Bittner does get a good move up here, and it's a throw to the line, and they both screw up. It's hard to really get it here, but when the guys are coming to the line, let's see if we could get it. They both try to throw their bike before the line. And then Bittner keeps going, and then Wout tries to pump wheels again, and they throw for the second line, the correct one. I'm looking at it here. I don't see that it really is an issue. Maybe the banner was back behind it. I don't know. But in the end, it was Patrick Bittner who actually got the lead. There you go. Bike throw. I mean, just a few centimeters or a few inches there. I don't know, inches, meters. What are we going to do here? But Bittner ends up getting the win, and we talked about him doing well, doing in the 12 Vuelta Burgos, getting at least 2 wins there for the Czech, and he gets a win in the Vuelta. Good for him. Van Aert keeps his green jersey though. There you go. Roglic in the lead by 8 seconds over Almeida, Maas, Taberi, Van Velt, Skilmos, Vlasov et al. Sepp Kuss down there in the second page. There you go. Roglic. And there's the stage we have coming up for today. A Cat 1, a Cat 3, a Cat 3, and a Cat 3 at the finish. So what I predicted talking about this stage basically was going to be that you're going to likely get a break. I didn't know who to pick, right? So for my fantasy team here, as an example, I'm trying to figure out who it's going to be. And I'm like, this last climb, I guess we should, let's pull this next one up here. The last climb just wasn't enough to really entice the bigwigs to come out and shoot for this thing. So I was like, who's going to really be up there? Is it going to be, you're not going to get a GC clash for this, really, right? But who's it going to be? And I didn't know. I really, it's going to be a breakaway. That's the way I figured it. And then I put on my fantasy. I said Brandon McNulty. I don't know. Let's say it's all together. It's going to be someone not like that, but he didn't necessarily play into this. What I didn't expect was to be a situation that you had last year. Stage 6 last year at the Vuelta. You have Sepp Kuss gets up the road with his teammates. Long climb at the finish. Sepp drops everybody. It's in that open there. He actually, no, that was the other one that we had. So Sepp Kuss, that was up the Angliru. He gets the stage win. He does a decent climb. He only loses, if you look from start to finish, he only loses a few seconds on actually Roglic. And Jonas going up there, he does about the same time as Evenepoel. Remco's team decides not to chase Sepp down. He's up the road. He's a teammate of these other 2 guys. Those are the ones we're worried about. Sepp Kuss had done the Giro Tour, and now he's in the Vuelta. This is in 2023. We know the story. He ends up holding on. It changes your formation in your mind when you get in that red jersey and you start to, or the yellow or the pink, and you start to race well. He didn't have plans to come in for this and to take the win, but as we know, he did. He, being Sepp Kuss, ended up winning this thing. So it can transform a rider like him that hadn't before tried to go for GC. However, let's say you are a guy that has gone for GC. Maybe you didn't have the best first climb on stage 4, but it wasn't horrendous, right? But you've done the Giro this year. Maybe you've got 4th in the Giro this year. Maybe you got 4th in the 2021 Tour de France. Maybe you've won races recently and done well. You're Ben O'Connor, and that's the guy you are. And so what was Ben coming into this? We should probably look here. Ben O'Connor, coming into stage 6. He was, let's see, how far down is Ben O'Connor? Why am I not finding him? Let's go. I'm going to have to go to teams, decathlon. There we go. So Ben O'Connor, that's why, because I was looking at the stages. Ben O'Connor was 156 back, almost 2 minutes back of Primož Roglic. Felix Gall had a little better ride for him. He was 47 seconds back. So that's the situation we have coming into this. And by the way, I don't know the impetus, the desire, the goals for, and I always say this about the Vuelta, it's a little off. You don't always know everybody. You know a few. Roglic, we know he's coming out, guns blazing. He wants this win. I thought maybe Adam Yates, not the case after the first day. Carapaz, I think he just didn't really, he didn't have it in his legs. Sepp Kuss is obviously here for a defense. He's going, that's he's got goals and he's going to fight till the finish, and you've got that in mind. You don't know Ben O'Connor, but it could, things change, and here's what we have. Ben O'Connor gets up in a decent break. They're up the road, and they have, 4.5 or so minutes. He starts going for some of these little sprint spots, and then he's taking some riders with him. Next thing you know, it's in the 50 miles range, and he goes up the road. I'm trying to remember the rider's name. I'm going to actually get it, because I'm going to show him a little. He ended up 6th on the day. Limreza. So Limreza goes up the road with him, and you've got Lipowitz is in the group behind. That's the Bora team. That no one's chasing this thing down today, and you've got these a confusing mix to me of allowing such a big gap, and you're thinking, okay, well the teams are going to finally get on the blower here, and they're going to tell each other, okay, we got to start chasing. But next thing you know, Limreza is just hanging on. Lipowitz and a group from behind. I think it's Christian Rodriguez is back there for Arkea, and a few other riders. They're just trying to do what they can, but they're not really having much luck either. Next thing you know, UAE gets on the front. They go to the front with Bora, and they're like, hey, let's do a little chasing. And Bora's like, nope, we're not doing it. So who has the responsibility here? Well, one, it falls on the red jersey on Roglic's team to come to the front and chase this thing down and to bring it back. If they don't want to do it, the other teams can say, look, João Almeida's in second place by 8 seconds. We are worried. We're going to go to the front and do that. Okay, so UAE does come to the front for a little bit. Next thing you know, it's Sanchez gets blown out on the front with Frigo, and so Movistar starts freaking out for Enric Mas, and they start coming to the front and pulling. Next thing you know, you got 20-some kilometers here. Limreza has been on the wheel of Ben O'Connor, but Ben's been just doing all the work. Ben drops him. Ben says, see you later. I'm going to go solo from 27. Now he's been out there basically going solo from 50-some. Wout van Aert gets kicked out at 26K to go. There's 2 Cat 3s coming up to the finish here. He's just going to cruise into the finish. No big deal. I did see on the day, and we'll talk about this, Matthew Riccatello lost 13 minutes today, the American who had a spectacular ride on stage 4 with the big guns. I don't know what happened to him, but I saw Adam Yates lost some time as well. We'll look at the standings here, kind of go through that. But, I mean, that's a little bit surprising, and I thought maybe Riccatello had a chance to come in here and really do great GC ride simply for the fact that it is so steep and so often. And that might play a part about letting Ben O'Connor up the road. Frigo chasing down here, comes down and on this left-hand corner. I think that's also where Adam Yates ended up falling. Frigo gets back up, tries to get back going. You got a disintegrated group in the front. Ben O'Connor is coming into the last climb, still has 6:17. Hang on, let's silence this. Still has a 6:17 gap over everybody. At the bottom of the climb, he has like 6:30. There's Jay Vine is looking up there. So now you have Movistar on the front. It's just disorganized. And then Movistar says, we're done. And they're not really doing much. Then Bora decides to come to the front. But no one has a real impetus to chase this thing down. 6:52 coming in. He had, I think, 6:30 coming at the bottom of the climb. So we'll see. Ben O'Connor, it's a Cat 3 climb. He's just powering away, doing no problems. Bora does do a little chasing, but nothing much here at all. Ben O'Connor comes to the finish, gets the stage win. He does take some time to soak it in and do a post-up. No fear of problems there like we had Van Eltvet the other day, or he's probably not worrying about overall time because you're getting 6 something. As it was, everybody else that came into there, 6 some down. We'll look at all the actual... let's take a look at this. There we go. So on the stage today, Ben O'Connor, 6, maybe we'll increase this here. 4:33 over Marco Frigo, Florian Lipowitz, 5:12 with Clement Berthaud, Christian Rodriguez, and Guy Limreza, who got caught right at the line for 3rd place. Mario Van Sevenat came off. He was 5:38. 5:35. Urco Barade was 6:02, and then Isaac Del Toro 6:31. That's with the main group comes in. Sepp Kuss was actually up there, kind of fighting. They're coming in through a little sprint, so it was good to see that Sepp was at least making some, making sure he's up front. We talked about this stage 4, and I saw Chris Horner yesterday make some mention of this. Now, he didn't go into what I said. He broke down some of the teams coming in and their tactics on stage 4, the big climb. UAE putting Roglic into a position to take a bunch of time from them. I see that. He also said that, look, Sepp Kuss just doesn't have much support. I was focused more on the fact that they came into this corner and Sepp you can't give so much support on a climb like that. Now, I think Sepp was on the wheel of Sivakov, and it probably was very helpful. Why was Sivakov doing that? I don't know, but that doesn't matter. That's what was happening. And I think it does, because right in front of Sepp Kuss and Sivakov was Mikel Landa, who was able to take off from them. Sepp was just having a bad day and sitting on the wheels, only losing 28 seconds. However, going into that corner, he had no team to get him into the right position. And he's trying to do a lot of that fighting himself. It was, not when they came into the left-hand corner when they had 5K to go. It was much steeper than the first part of the climb. Wout had gone for this, sprint at 14 when the bottom of the climb. Then he's nowhere to help. And no one was there to help Sepp Kuss, and I'm just blown away that, I understand Keon Utebrooks is kind of doing his own ride. You got to stop it. You got to get your guy on the front into those lead positions, because Sepp had to close gaps all the way up multiple times until he finally came off about three kilometers or so to go. So with that in mind, I saw him today at least being on the front, being very attentive. I'm liking that, and maybe he's got to click in his head, look, I haven't done a lot of racing this year. I need to do something different. It's one thing for me to get to the front to help, and then I'm halfway up the climb and I'm doing it for a teammate. I've got to be there in a different position. And I think last year, there was talk about him being on the back and not, he needs to be up in the front. And he was like, mindset I had to change to make sure I'm in the red jersey, that I am up front. And I think Jonas was helping him a bit more on that. Got to get that mindset going. Anyway, so there's Ben O'Connor, but 6:32. The GC we have here is 4:50, almost 5 minutes to Roglic. Is this 6:05 to Sepp Kuss? I mean, everybody here, right? This is problematic. It depends on where Ben O'Connor is in his mindset of this. He said after the race, he was not thinking about the GC at all. He was only thinking about the stage win. However, I don't think Sepp Kuss last year was thinking about the GC. He was thinking about the stage win. Remember, Lenny Martinez, when stage 6, when Sepp actually won, Lenny Martinez went into the red jersey, and then Sepp took it later on when Lenny had some trouble. So that all plays a part here of where is Ben O'Connor. If he decides to, hey, chance of a lifetime, I'm going to ride this out as much as I can, and maybe Felix Gall is going to be on me, ride for me now. Maybe he holds this thing. However, without getting, I just am blown away that they let this much time. And is it disrespectful to Ben O'Connor to assume that he's going to go bad like this continually? Maybe. I mean, they have a time trial at the end. It's probably a minute or so. There's some of these other steep climbs. It could be 30 seconds or a minute, but we will see. And now maybe he's ruined. He wouldn't have probably got the gap he did if he hadn't had the legs and the ride that he did on stage 4. But going forward, would he be losing 2 minutes on a climb like that? I don't think so. I think Ben, obviously, he's fought for 4th place at the Giro this year. He was 4th place in the 2021 Tour de France. He can ride these things just fine, and it will forever be maybe rue the day here for Roglic for letting him up the road. 158 to 145 for the green jersey. Wout over Caden Groves. Bittner's starting to move up with 81 points. The KOM still with Monek Lotto Destiny, 16 points. There's nothing really happening here. Lipowitz moves up into the green jersey. The youth jersey over Tiberi. Van Aert, Schilmos, and Riccatello really drops down 9 places down there on the green jersey. Let's take a look here. Time 1 lost, and you can see the places losing here. Riccatello, where did he drop down to? 34th place, loses 13 minutes or so. Now he's 13 minutes back on GC. That's on GC. What did he do on the stage here? Let's go to the nations. Let's see how all the Americans are doing. There you go. Brandon McNulty, he loses 32 minutes today. I don't know what happened with him. Riley Sheehan loses 25 minutes. Riccatello 13, and Sepp Kuss loses 6. So the 13 minutes lost by Riccatello is only, when you go to head with your man Roglic, it's not as bad, obviously, than the 6 minutes additional that you did lose today, or 5 minutes, actually 6:33 that you lost to Ben in the first place. Yikes. Okay, Victor's in here. He says, please everyone like the show, subscribe, do all that good stuff. What do we have? Well, let's take a look here. Let's take a look at tomorrow's stage. I think we're going back into another sprint because this last Cat 2, I mean, this could play a part, and this might be a Wout or Brian Carcard. I think you could get rid of Caden Groves. Although Caden Groves does just well. I don't know about Bittner, but that will be an interesting day. Looks like maybe a breakaway or a late breakaway gets a chance to come up with one of this. 155, and then they have about 30 kilometers inside that, about 25 or so, 26 kilometers into the finish. Up a Cat 2 at 7.4 at 5.6. A few little humps down the hill and then flat into this. So that will be maybe it's a day of someone's trying to, that's 10th place. Maybe this is why McNulty wanted to lose time, gives himself a chance to a stage win. I don't know. We will see. That is tomorrow, Friday, and then we have the weekend, at least some more fun here on the board. A Cat 3 finish here, so I don't know how detrimental that will be. I mean, this is a good chance for nothing to really happen. And then Sunday, big ones there, 1-1-1, and then down the hill and nothing. So I don't know. This could be explosive. I could see a Carapaz style, try to attack from way out and go down here. I mean, it's very interesting. It's similar to what we saw on the Tour this year with Pogacar attacking over the climbs with a descent. We have a rest day on Monday, and then Tuesday we get at least a little bit of climbing. I see that more as a breakaway day. Tuesday, Wednesday, kind of a breakaway day as well. Thursday on stage 12, we finally get back to up the top there at the big mountain, stage 13. So then the back end of next week looks like it's going to be pretty good before we end up for the final week. So solid, going to kind of bide our time until we get into that last bit of the race, at least of next week, and then we're going to be all guns firing. Okay, so was it disrespectful to Ben O'Connor? I don't know. I think it's a gamble, but it also shows a few things. One is Roglic does not have the team that Pogacar did. Matter of fact, rides like this did not happen in the Tour. They did not happen in the Giro this year because Pogacar's team just decided we're going to just bring that shit back. And then, remember, even Matteo Jorgensen, who's wasn't a threat, has 2 or 3 minutes going into a big climb, and Pogacar just destroys him and brings that all back. So he had the team. Pogacar had the team to control these kind of things. I don't know that Roglic wants to control it with a team quite like what he has. That's why they put Lipowitz up the road. Did these other teams make mistakes? You have Visma, Lisa Bike, VLab, who they didn't do any work on the front. You only had Movistar, you had UAE, you had the Trek for a little bit there. You had Bora at the end, and it wasn't cohesive with all these. It was like one team doing it, then they're done, then one other team. So it just didn't happen to bring this back. Are they all going to be regretting this in the end? I mean, if you get a rider like, let's say, Roglic has a bad day coming up, and then you were maybe Sepp is flying or João Almeida's flying, and they're putting time into Roglic, but they're still not able to get Ben O'Connor back. Now you are ruining the day that you didn't put your team on the front to do a little bit of this work because you didn't trust that your guy was going to be there. But in the end, it really was these other teams' responsibility. These other teams put the responsibility on Roglic, and it was his team's responsibility to do this. And if you're calling their bluff and they're like, we're fine, well, then we're not going to do it, then here we are. And it will be an interesting dynamic. I was pretty excited about this part today. One, Ben O'Connor gets the win. Look, we saw him in the Netflix series 2 years ago, De La Lowe's. He finally comes. First of all, let's back up a little bit. The Netflix series did not show him necessarily in a great light. He was kind of whiny. He was complaining. The team is complaining about him. I'm trying to remember what's the stage where they went up to the top where it's an environmental area and they couldn't get everywhere at Puy de Dôme, and he was yelling over the mic, and they're like, stop yelling over the mic, just ride your bike. Yeah, I get that. But before that, remember, he had been complaining because his team is up in a break, and you had Jai Hindley is in the break with him, and this team is like just riding on the front. Next thing you know, Jai Hindley wins the race and gets the yellow jersey, and he's complaining about it after. He's like, why are you riding for someone else? And now he had an issue with him being Australian and whatnot, but it was a valid concern, and it blew me away partly because the DSs are like, I don't know why, it's no big deal. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry. It's these little things that can make a big deal, and perhaps What if Ben has a great race, and this is a problem here. Now, it didn't come back to bite him, but Ben didn't have a great race, but he did turn that around when Felix Gall was the winner of De La Lowe's, and he did a lot of work for him that day, getting him up in the break. So solid work for him. He's going to Jayco next year. It will be interesting to see how he finishes up this tour. Anyway, there we are. Let's take a look. We're heading out here. Stage 7 tomorrow. I predict a Wout win or a little bit of a break, maybe from a Riccatello, maybe from a Brandon McNulty, someone who's dropped, maybe Adam Yates, lost some time today, and then we'll see. We'll see you tomorrow.
And Kuss goes, says, I've had enough of this, to Evenepoel, and there's gaps opening up here, 2.6 kilometres to go. Here is Sepp Kuss, and he has actually pushed on. He's going for glory. This could be a fabulous day for Jumbo-Visma. Stage victory coming his way, needs to drive it all the way over the line. Is he going to he's going to go high-fiving. This might cost him a red jersey, for goodness sake. Hits the line, takes 10 seconds bonus.